So, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the Central European University for the kind invitation. I'm happy to be here and to talk about a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is how do we build the future of finance that leaves truly no one behind. And I was very happy to hear about how open banking could help financial inclusion from Iboya just now. So thank you for that. I'm actually trying to squeeze in a few presentations in one, so please bear with me. Hopefully it's worth it. So we are living in a time where technological advancement and innovation is really changing how we live, how we communicate, how we access basic services. But while we often talk about a future of finance that is shiny, the reality on the ground tells a very different story. So today, nearly 2 billion people remain underbanked, while 1.4 billion don't have access to something as basic as a bank account. Almost 1 billion people don't have any form of legal identity, for example, and nearly half of our world lives on less than $6 per day. I mean, the numbers are just staggering, and most of these people actually live in developing countries, mostly rural or conflict-affected areas, and are not just left out of the financial system, they're left out of opportunity. And this matters because financial inclusion isn't just about banking, it's about being able to bounce back from a crisis or save for your future, start a business, or just participate in economy. Without access, people are locked out of pathways to improve their lives. And this is where blockchain, as other emerging technologies, come in. And we have certainly heard, I was not there from the very beginning, but from my fellow speakers a bit about what blockchain is. Let me just reiterate. So at its core, blockchain is a decentralized, transparent ledger that records transactions across a distributed network without relying on centralized intermediaries like banks or governments. It enables peer-to-peer transactions that are secure, traceable, and often much, much cheaper. So why is this a game changer for financial inclusion? Because blockchain removes the barriers that traditional finance can't or is not able to solve, like high fees or geographical isolation or lack of trust in institutions. All of that can be bypassed by decentralized systems. People can send remittances, for example, instantly for a fraction of a cost, or they can access decentralized savings or lending products, or they can build financial identity based on behavior and activity and not paperwork. Now, I want to be clear, traditional financial systems weren't deliberately designed to exclude people, but they were built to prioritize profit and reduce risk. And by doing so, they ended up locking out those who don't fit in the box. And I mean, traditional infrastructure simply wasn't built for informal economies or low-income users at scale. But blockchain offers us a chance to design differently, and I think that's very important. So while most people associate a blockchain with finance, the technology can really be applicable beyond that and can be used to improve transparency in aid delivery, for example, or build more ethical, sustainable supply chains, or enable decentralized governance, or innovative funding models, support climate action, and much, much more. And just to bring this to life a little before we dive into the work we're doing with the Blockchain for Good Alliance, I want to share one of my favorite use cases from a project we incubated called Ethic Hub. They're using blockchain to connect smallholder farmers in developing countries and emerging markets with global lenders and impact investors through smart contract-based crowd lending and crowd collateral systems. They're enabling farmers to grow their businesses, access fair financing, and build trust. And it's a beautiful example of what inclusive finance can look like when designed with equity, trust, and impact in mind. I won't go in too much detail as time is short, but I encourage you to check them out. They're doing incredible work. I would also like to briefly mention the recent collaboration with the Africa Blockchain Institute and Positive Blockchain, where we conducted a comprehensive mapping of over 130 Web3 impact projects across the continent, and the full report is available by scanning the QR code you see here. It's a great resource if you're interested in the growing Web3 impact ecosystem on the continent. And now a bit about the Blockchain for Good Alliance, or BGA. It was launched in early 2024 by Bybit and a group of partners as a long-term collaborative nonprofit initiative with a growing network of over 100 partners and across 40 plus countries, spanning Web3 companies, nonprofits, associations, universities, VCs, and incubators. And quite simply, we're on a mission to support Web3 for good innovators and builders using blockchain to solve real-world challenges in line with Sustainable Development Goals. And BGA's work is centered around 4 key pillars: hackathons, joint fund, incubation, and Web3 Oscar. When it comes to hackathons, we sponsor hackathon organizers to introduce a Blockchain for Good track that highlights innovative solutions under one or more impact areas, and winning projects then move to our BGA final hackathon at the end of the year. When it comes to incubation, we provide resources, mentorship, grants, investment support for selected projects that align with our vision. And I'm happy to share that our top incubated project that I've just mentioned, actually Ethic Hub, just received 1 million in funding facilitated by the Alliance. And one of the most exciting new additions to our work is the SDG Blockchain Accelerator, an initiative launched together with the UNDP's Altfin Lab and Emorgo Lab, supported by Project Catalyst and Cardano Foundation. It aims to support teams from concept all the way to pilot stage, offering mentorship, technical expertise, and visibility across the UN system. But this year's cohort is focused on UNDP-led projects. Next year, it will expand to include other UN agencies too. But it's a great example of how we're helping the most promising ideas scale and create impact across the developing countries, working directly with the governments as well. We know that funding is one of the biggest problems for impact projects, and that's why we're doubling down on collaboration and strengthening our joint fund initiative and planning to channel both technical expertise and financial resources into the growing Blockchain for Good ecosystem. So our joint fund is basically a collective funding mechanism co-created with blockchain protocols, VCs, and Web3 communities. And together we're pooling resources to launch dedicated grant rounds that support high impact projects in those priority areas. And last but not least, Web3 Oscar is our flagship event where we recognize outstanding Web3 initiatives that participated in either hackathons or incubation programs throughout the year. There's some snippets from the inaugural event last year. Now, coming back to the big question, and I'm almost done here, how do we build the future of finance that truly leaves no one behind. It's a huge challenge, and the truth is no single person, institution, government, or protocol can do it alone. So we need to co-create this future together. That means bridging Web 2 and Web 3 and bringing traditional institutions, governments, global governance, and decentralized ecosystems to the same table, because we cannot rely on technology alone. And I'd like to end with one of my favorite quotes from Charles Eisenstein: technology is not going to save us. It can only serve to amplify a deeper change that must happen in our consciousness and our social systems. So once again, thank you very much to Central European University. And if you have any questions, I'll stay here after the presentation as well. I'm not sure if there is time, but yeah, thank you so much.